So John, we're here today to talk about the second article of the Taking Our GolfBack series that you wrote in 2020, Barter in today's current marketplace.
And we're going to take a look at where we were 5 years ago and where we are today as it relates to the Barter tee time marketplace. And obviously, there's one company we have to talk about, and that company is?
GolfNow.
Absolutely. And 5 years ago, that would have been 2020. That would have been 6 months after the merger and acquisition of EasyLinks, GolfNow purchasing EasyLinks. And the marketplace really changed back in 2020 once they did that.
It did. You know, previous to this merger, obviously GolfNow was the biggest third-party tee time aggregator, but the second biggest was teeoff.com, which was owned by EasyLinks, and they had a deal with the PGA Tour to help their distribution, help sell third-party aggregate tee times. So the bringing together the two largest third-party aggregators was a huge deal.
And one of the big pivots for GolfNow was that they moved EasyLinks from offering a cash model for their point-of-sale service and tee time distribution to teeoff.com to only a barter service or a barter pricing model, which means, you know, the two largest point-of-sale companies and two largest tee time marketplaces, the only way to access each of them was to trade tee times.
Not only that, but all the inventory, the hot deals that were listed on teeoff.com were now also listed on golfnow.com, and we know that GolfNow had the most eyeballs out of any aggregate tee time marketplace. So adding that extra hot deal from teeoff to GolfNow was also a big deal because it brought a whole lot more eyeballs, and GolfNow was able to improve their sell-through on those hot deals, which impacted operators everywhere, whether they knew it or not.
Which we think one of the big advantages that GolfNow saw in this purchase was the fact that they had access to this inventory on TF.com that they could bring over to GolfNow and sell through at a higher percentage.
100%.
Absolutely. So, you know, what's changed in 5 years? Where are we today, 5 years after that decision? We're exactly where we were 5 years ago, essentially, right?
Pretty much.
GolfNow and EasyLinks are still only doing barter pricing. That model is the model you have to buy into to use their products and to be listed on their tee time distribution platforms. And that hasn't changed, at least as it relates to those two companies. What has changed is there's a lot more players available in the point of sale market today.
There are.
And many cloud-based providers.
Yeah, there's been, some additions, some new players in the space post-COVID, which was really kind of changed the landscape as it relates to electronic tee sheets and point-of-sale systems.
Now, back then, 5 years ago, GolfNow, EasyLinks probably had 90 to 95% of the aggregate tee time distribution market. Where do they sit today?
I would say it's probably the same. I don't think they've lost much of that aggregate tee time space. I think where they have lost some market share is in the point of sale space, in the electronic tee sheet space. And I think we're seeing operators start to gravitate toward those cloud-based point of sale systems that are modern and charge that cash pricing that's very transparent.
And in this article, we really do get into the history of GolfNow, which talks about their reliance on open integrations with the point of sale companies before they were in the point of sale market, and sort of the reverse strategy once they bought EasyLinks to be a closed system, not available to all technology providers, which limits essentially their customers' opportunity to work with new technology companies.
Yeah, I think that's something that gets looked over completely as time has gone on. Like you said, GolfNow really cut its teeth in needing that integration with the existing point-of-sale companies, back in 2009, 2010, 2011. And as time has gone on, obviously, they got into the point-of-sale space with their acquisition of 4 reservations, which happened in 2013. And now that they have the most market share in the point-of-sale space, they all of a sudden have closed off that interface that they really built their business on from the beginning.
Well, it's not close to everybody, but it's close to us and multiple other technology companies. But for instance, like Club Profit, a point-of-sale company in the marketplace, was staunchly against the integration 5 years ago, but now they have the integration with GolfNow today. So there are some companies that have that integration with GolfNow, but there's plenty that have no opportunity to have that integration.
Likely, GolfNow is making a business decision as to if it makes sense for them for that integration to exist. If you're just a golf course that feels like they can leverage a certain technology or want to work with a certain technology, partner with them, Golf Now is likely not going to allow that integration to happen unless it makes business sense for Golf Now.
Well, what if you're a business built around driving your customers direct? What happens then?
They might be okay with it if they're selling trade on the website booking engines, but
yeah, outside of that. I mean, that's the thing. The thing about what exists in the marketplace today compared to 5 years ago is they haven't changed their pricing model. They haven't changed their strategies around integrating with some partners, and they're still focused on redirecting organic customers to their third-party platform. And the book online button in Google and that integration just shows their continued commitment to driving people to the third-party websites.
They really see their customer as the golfer, not the golf course. The golf course is the vehicle to their customer, who's the golfer. And I think in the last few years, we've seen them expand on their golfer offerings, like Golf Pass, those subscription-based models that they're selling direct to the golfer, and they're really looking to leverage that enormous customer database that they've been willing to build on the backs of golf course owners and operators.
Well, I think you bring up a fantastic point there. As a golf course customer, what you just said is, what do I care, right? I want to get the best deal, right? And then there's a golf course owner who maybe has different concerns and inputs. But overall, I think the biggest concern is that the amount of barter that's in the industry, think about if all those barter tee times were repopulated back down to the golf course owners, and that profitability sat at the golf course level, what kind of offerings and value could they give the customers, building that direct relationship and then taking those funds and reinvesting back into the golf course assets. And that's really what the challenge is in this discussion, right?
100%.
Going back to when Golf Now bought EasyLinks 5 years ago, obviously they wanted to increase their network. They wanted to assume control of some of the EasyLinks products and their relationships in the marketplace. They wanted to eliminate their largest competitor, right? And they wanted to expand their available trade inventory. Those were the major inputs 5 years ago that we believe resulted in that transaction, correct?
Correct. I think what's interesting too is Golf Now obviously is owned by the Golf Channel, right? And then the PGA Tour was involved with teeoff.com. So, you'd be watching the PGA Tour event on a Sunday and you'd see two commercials back to back. One was a Golf Now commercial that's airing on the Golf Channel or NBC, right? And the next one was teeoff.com commercial. Mm-hmm. When you think about it from like a buying ad space perspective, I'm sure the merger made some sense behind the scenes as it related to those kinds of things as well. But I think we've kind of covered all bases there.
Yeah, there's no doubt that acquisition was chess, not checkers, right, by Golf Now's part. But was that acquisition positive for golf course owners in the industry? Where do we fall on that? A big no.
Right.
And the reason being, anytime that you're forced into a traded barter inventory situation where you have to agree to language that's rate parity language, meaning the third party can have a lower price point than you on your website, what ends up happening, you lose your organic traffic. People that are searching for your golf course end up in the third party platform and not buying direct from you. One last touch on the Google Reserve platform, because I think it's so important. If you're a Golf Now customer right now and someone searches for your golf course on Google and they see your Google business listing and they see a nice blue button that says book online and you click that button, what happens today if you're a Golf Now customer?
You're going to be directed to another page where you then select which tee time provider you want to visit, and Golf Now sits the top of that listing. Generally, so will Supreme Golf and possibly your website booking engine, depending on which software company operates your website booking engine.
And so what's really scary about this model is that, Golf Now for a long time is buying up keywords to capture, certain higher search results when people search for things like public golf in Jacksonville or something like that. But now they actually have a redirection from the Google business listing to their platform, which puts their platform front and center. If we don't do something about this, what happens? Golf course owners are going to lose all organic website traffic online, at least on Google.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to be clear, these are golfers that are searching directly for the golf course. They are typing the golf course name right into the Google search bar. This is an organic customer, right? This organic customer may not know your exact URL address, so they can't type it in, but they do know the name of your golf course. That's what they're searching. And if GolfNow is stealing that click and sending them to a marketplace where your competitor inventory is listed or other GolfNow hot deal inventory is listed, that's a loss, a big loss.
Absolutely.
For the golf course owner.
You've got to protect yourself, especially with where tee times are going. More tee times are being bought online. Of all the electronic tee times, about 75 to 80% of them are mobile now. And the world around how tee times are bought is changing, and you got to protect yourself.
Yep.
So Bryce, one final question in the then versus now conversation. What have you seen in the industry, and do you feel like we're in a better position or a worse position as it relates to operators and decisions they're making around their tee time inventory?
Yeah, you hear us say, well, we don't think much has changed as far as GolfNow's market share in the aggregate space. You may say maybe that's a loss, right? Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't think it is. What I'm seeing is that golf courses are seeing a difference between the aggregate networks that are out there and the point of sale and tee sheet space, and they're seeing them as totally different verticals. So the operators are becoming focused on making sure that they're driving their organic customers direct through their website, and their website software provider may be someone totally different than GolfNow. So while there are a lot of people out there that are using GolfNow for everything from distribution to their technology as well, I'm seeing operators get a lot smarter in understanding, all right, GolfNow is a distribution network, but I want to not put all my eggs in that basket. I want to also, put my eggs in the basket of someone that is charging transparent pricing, cash pricing, and someone that will help me leverage my organic customer.
So what you're talking about is driving a business strategy of direct to consumer. When you do that, you have the opportunity to collect that consumer's data to remarket to that consumer. But what we're really finding is a higher average dollar per round in that channel than in the aggregate channel. And that's what's really getting operators to move, right?
Correct.
Great. Looking forward to conversation number 3, article number 3 coming up in about 2 weeks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.